Hi all, and welcome along to this part 5 mucky hands of doing this rare suspension and brakes for the TVR Chimera 450 Mark III. I've had success, and well, I can stick a picture on end or in here now just showing you that it's all done. So if you want to walk along with a little journey with us. I had trouble with the caliper. I'd taken off, where is it? I don't know where I've put it, it must be next door. Is it? No, it's on here. Right, I'd taken off this spring, which is the return spring for the handbrake mechanism, and I'd forgotten where it went or how it went, so I hooked it under there. You see that? I hooked it under there and onto here, which is where it fits, and that was wrong. It doesn't go like that, it goes in that hole there. Now to get that in there and get that back on there is a right old stretch, but we did it. This is not the side that I've just done or gonna do. This is the other side, the left hand side of the car, so I've got to put this back in a vise before I put the caliper back on. So basically I fitted the caliper and I was fitting it all up, bolting everything up, and then realised that it were all going pear-shaped and I couldn't get that spring on, and I put the wrong spring on the wrong side. I'm admitting everything, but you know what I was going to do was go back in the house, look through my videos of stripping it in the first place to see how I did it. And I thought, well, all I've got to do is look at a picture of a new caliper, and I know the Sierra, so just bang that in on eBay, Sierra caliper. A lot of pictures come up straight away, and I could see what I'd done wrong. So I put it in the trusty old vise and corrected it. So I hope you're going to enjoy this next 30 or 40 minutes, might be more, don't know, of the anti-roll bar, my findings on that, and the which is all ready to go back on, by the way. It's all done and dusted, and there'll be lots of pictures of that, and then getting on, and I managed to get a new clamp which I'll show you, because all I had was to, let me show you, because a lot of you do videos, and videoing ain't that easy in a workshop because you're always banging into everything. So I have this thing, like a little clapper box. It's a crocodile clip, a GoPro one, and I fastened my new camera to that, my DJI, and clamped that onto chassis legs inside wheel arch on TVR. Of course, every time I caught it with my arm or anything, the whole thing fell off, and in one occasion it fell off and brayed on concrete floor. Luckily it hadn't damaged my camera. I had it in its case, which is probably a good thing I did. But what I found, which I'd had this before and I'd forgot all about it, and it's a G-clamp, and that fits perfectly around the leg of the chassis on the TVR, the round tubular chassis. So just put a little arm on it, an articulated arm, and the mount for the camera, and I can clamp that now on any suspension anywhere under the wheel arch, as you'll see, pointing either at me from behind or at it, at the work, and it worked out fantastic. It didn't cost me anything because I bought this years ago. I'm harping on again, but you know, when you're doing YouTube videos, setting up cameras is not always that easy, and so far I'm delighted with this new camera. Oops, I've just sat on something. Yep, grab mine too. Okay. Right, so we'll get on and make a start with this and progress, and you'll see what the result was. Right, so this is all the parts we're going to put on one side at the rear. Obviously we've got all this again, including that caliper for the other side, but I've just got sort of one of each. New bolts for the top of the shock absorber, new bolts for the bottom, some high tensile steel bolts to replace the original Allen screws, which there's no wrong with Allen screws, but one of them is really hard to get out because it's behind the hub upright and you can't get an Allen key in very well. So I decided to replace them. A little tip for anybody that's doing work on brakes, cars, motorbikes, anything: don't use stainless steel bolts. Stainless steel's a lovely substance, doesn't corrode, however it is very soft and it's got not a good shear property on stainless. For that reason we've gone for full high grade 8.8 high tensile steel bolts. I couldn't get any shanked ones, although the original ones are threaded all the way up anyway. If you didn't know what these are for, it's to hold these carriers on. I've got new bolts in for the caliper fastening on, and then these big bolts go in here. But all freshly painted, as is the caliper. I'll clean that off maybe later. We've got our refresh shock absorber with a brand new spring on it. Hell Performance stainless steel braided lines with a carbon fibre covering over them. I've cleaned and painted up the wheel bolts. You can't see them, they're recessed right into the wheel, but they were very rusty, so I've done those. Everything, when I'm putting this back together, will all be done with copper slip everywhere. We've got new disc pads for the rear there, and a brand new disc. The other one's in there. I'll make sure I get these right way around. I think that is the right one for the right side. I think. I'll check. That's a vented 273mm replacement for the original that we're on. Other than these are from M Performance, they're grooved and drilled. I just thought they'd look nicer when they're on car. And they weren't silly stupid money more than a standard disc, so I'll put that back in bag in a minute. I'll move this lot out of the way and I'll come back in another little video in a second and show you where we went with the anti-roll bar. And then once all this is sorted, I'll start reassembling everything on the car. So hopefully in this part 5 there'll be showing of this stuff obviously, but showing me. I'll quickly paint the wheel arches and then I shall put the other brake, take the other brake line off. Once I've painted the wheel arches, I'll put the fresh brake lines on. Don't want to get paint on them. I'll probably put anti-roll bar back first, but we'll show you that in a minute and what we got for that. Okay. Okay. I'm going to slip a little video in. It's only a shorty showing you when I stripped this anti-roll bar down to paint it, what I found. And I don't know if you'll be able to see that in this on this camera. It's grazed all the way along the low part, which started me thinking even more. And a friend came up with a comment that possibly might be correct. And scraped all the way along is an anti-roll bar, so I'm assuming that it's been catching somewhere. I don't know where, but at some point in its life it must have been owned by somebody that either had a lot of sleeping policemen in the street and they've been driving over them. I don't know, I can't come up with what else. You know the sleeping policeman where you've got like the little bumps in the road, but it's not right across the road. I wonder if it's that. I mean, the car is an extremely low car. Anyway, no problem. Cleaning it all down, ready for paint. Might be correct, because we knew that these were all bent and damaged. These plates were totally wrecked. the drop links were probably past the sell by date. So we've got yeah, the theory. I thought, yeah, somebody's lived where there's been a speed bump and they've been scraping over at speed bump. However, the village where I live has got quite a few nasty speed bumps, and I went over them a few times, and nice and slowly I never caught anything. I'm sure I would have heard it, but then I don't know. Somebody come up with a comment, a friend of mine, and said, yeah, didn't the guy who had this originally do a lot of track days? And I said, he did, yeah. Says, yeah, it's probably from track daying, going over curbs, hump bends, you know, stone curbs, the raised concrete sections, to make you avoid going over them, but everybody does. He said that's what that is. And how come these came to be bashed so bad? So we've got anti-roll bar repainted. It's scratched and scraped, but that don't matter. I've repainted it so it looks presentable. New rubbers to go on, and 2 new clamps. Then the plates were bent and buckled like mad. Now, I'm a bit annoyed about this, and I know I'm on YouTube and I shouldn't be harping on about people, but in defence, I can say that this one is zinc coated, and it's got a tensile bolts welded in. I'm sure that one has, but it's zinc coated. That's all I can tell you about that. This one is in the TVR colour that rest of my car, chassis, suspension and everything were in. That were £15.70 some. And I bought all this stuff from Motorclan, and it basically came next day FedEx, and it was £3.95 for what you see here. There were £3.95. They didn't have the left hand side one. This is for the right hand side of the chassis, and they didn't have a left hand one, and they are handed, as you can see. So back on the internet, try to dive around, try to find somewhere where I could get one. Obviously needed one because they were out of stock, and I found just one company that had them, or it didn't say they were in stock, but it was showing them, so I'm assuming they were in stock, and I ordered it. So that were £15.99 plus VAT, and all this lot here with the delivery come £144. The delivery were £3.95. This item, and I'm not probably going to tell you where it come from, because as I say, I'm not naming and shaming. This came from a very reputable TVR supplier. It was £27.99 plus VAT and £7.95 delivery, and it came 4 days later. The ones in this Motorclan box came the next day. I thought that was terrible, really. Come with £44 odd for that. Harping over, but at least I've got them and I can get on and fit them. So the next thing we'll be showing will be, I'll strip the other brake line off. You've seen me do one, there's no point in showing you doing other. I'll get me wheel arches masked up with masking tape, got plenty, and give the arches a paint with some satin or matte black, and then I'm ready to start assembling, which mask. quicker. Need a locking washer behind that. All stainless, but I need to put a locking washer on there to keep it from twisting. As mentioned before, these are replacements for those Allen screws, which getting this bolt out here, you can't get an Allen key in. It's really hard. You chop them right down, and it would a struggle. So I decided to use bolts, and as I said, don't use stainless on anything that could shear. So these are 8.8 rock, whatever the number called, high tensile, tight. How tight? Tight. Okay, that's the carrier on. Got our new bolts. What have I done wrong? What have I done wrong? Anybody notice yet? I haven't put the disc on. They've got to come off again. Like I said, tight. Make sure we've got right one. And brake flexi. Copper washer each side. Looks good. Handbrake's on. Return spring, I'd got it wrong place. So stay out on bench, put it back. So the handbrake's done. It jammed up, so I had to rewind the caliper back again. My own fault. Okay, so we've got a new bleed nipple in there, which will be ready for when we're going to bleed it. So we've got new brake flexi on. We've replaced the shock absorber, and we've got the handbrake on, the caliper, the carrier and the new disc. So we've pretty much refreshed this side of the car. I'll pull the camera out so we can have a look. That's what I was fiddling with. I'd taken that spring off, I maybe shouldn't have done, but I did. And I thought it went over the top of here. Oh, underneath here, sorry. I thought it went under there and took pressure off that, but it was catching that. oops, sorry, it were catching that. So I went on eBay and looked for Sierra rear caliper, and I could see there were a brand new one, and it went in that hole there, which actually took a lot of getting in. It was a swine. Okay, so we've got our new brake pipe on as well, all done and finished. So this side I'd say is ready for the wheel to go back on if they were bled, but they're not. So I suppose anti-roll bar, put that back on next, and then go to the other side and do it all again. This side's just completely bare, waiting for, again, brake pipe on first. Yeah, I think we've got everything sorted, and then reassemble this side. I never took that bolt out there, that top bolt. As you saw, I had a bit of a problem because you got your wishbone pivoted, and it also carries the shock absorber, but we got it in the end. Okay, probably not going to do this tonight, but maybe tomorrow. But I'm wanting to get all this into one, well, I'm saying into one video, I don't know, maybe not. Maybe I'll publish this part that I've done. A few people have talked about this baby, this 2-post car lift. If you've got room for one in your garage, guys, what a lifesaver. Absolutely superb. I mean, I've got that little duck stool, so I have to sit down. I can't walk under the car. I sit on my little stool, and I can roll about wherever I want under the car, and look and inspect at whatever I want, which is great. Fantastic. Okay, I think I will publish this. This exhaust, I don't know if I showed it, but let's see if I can get a light over. Come to the back of it. So, TVR exhaust, rear tailpipes come off, and the exhaust's all in one. It doesn't unbolt anywhere, so it's all completely one right up front there somewhere, I believe. I think. I'm telling you a duffer. No, I don't think so. I don't think there's any clamps on there. I think that exhaust's all in one. So this, when every time I fired car up, there were a rattle, and it was this here. This were loose, and there's a lock nut on back, and that were a bit loose. So what I've done is I've run the lock nut. You can't see it, can you? Let me get a better torch. What I did was run the nut right up, and then I've put a spring on out of my little box of springs, and a big washer, and then the nut back on, and tensioned it up. I'm hoping that's going to hold okay, but it's stopped all that rattle now. Okay, so that could be the end of part, is it 5? Oh, we've done okay. So I could have cleaned these suspension arms off, but they don't want to be, do they? They're all wax oiled and they want to stay that way. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll publish this, and then I'll do another one doing the anti-roll bar, putting the anti-roll bar back on. Get some light under here so we can see, and we'll get that done. Okay guys, right, so that worked out lovely, absolutely stunning, really chuffed with it, and it looks not brand new but looks newish now under wheel arch, and I'm hoping all four corners are going to look the same once this TVR is finished. So the next part, I'm going to wind this part up here. The next part is going to be to do the other wheel arch, but before I do that I'm probably going to put the new to me anti-roll bar system back on again with all the new clamps and everything, and because that's not going to get in way of putting the new replacing the shocker and the brake disc and everything. So in the next part, now is that going to be part 6, I'm going to show you doing the other wheel arch, whether I speed things up a little bit because you've seen it done once, but I want to show it. You never know, I might come up against some sort of snag. Thanks for watching so far guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to see any more videos that I'll be posting, which aren't just about the TVR. Could be anything garage, could be Stevie GTR, which is not anything garage but anything milling machine, lathe, welding, anything we're doing here. Okay guys, thanks very much, bye.